What happens when an AI company flat out refuses a direct order from the Pentagon? You'd think the military holds all the cards, right? Well, fast forward to early 2026, and we are looking at a massive, unprecedented standoff, not with some foreign superpower, but with an American software developer. So what actually goes down when a leading AI lab looks at the US Department of Defense and just says, no? Let's get right into it, because the fallout is absolutely wild.
The U.S. military gets cut off. Literally. Because this company refused to remove its safety guardrails, the Trump administration slapped them with a sweeping supply chain ban. The DoD essentially labeled this American AI darling a national security threat, totally blocking all private military contractors from doing business with them. It's a crazy escalation, and it really sets the stage for this ultimate, high-stakes collision between corporate ethics and national defense.
And that's exactly what we're digging into in today's Explainer. Anthropic, their flagship Claude AI models, and the very real cost of their absolute obsession with safety. We're going to break down how one company's completely unyielding philosophy led straight to this explosive geopolitical climax.
Section 1. The Safety First Rebellion. Because to understand how we end up at a federal ban, we really need to look at where this company came from.
So, Anthropic was founded back in 2021 by a group of researchers led by siblings Dario and Daniela Amadei. And the really interesting part? They were former top executives at OpenAI. They actually defected to form Anthropic as a San Francisco-based public benefit corporation. They managed to pull in massive backing from giants like Google and Salesforce, all built on one incredibly radical core thesis, that as AI gets smarter and more powerful, safety literally cannot be an afterthought. It absolutely has to be built in from the ground up. They wanted to prioritize AI alignment and human values, rather than just moving fast and breaking things.
Section 2. Constitutional AI Explained. Having a noble philosophy is great and all, but how do you actually code that into a machine?
Well, that brings us to Constitutional AI, or CAI. This is Anthropic's signature training methodology. Instead of relying totally on thousands of human workers to just flag every single mistake the AI makes, which, by the way, is super slow and really expensive, CAI uses explicit, written principles. You can think of it as giving the AI its very own constitution to govern how it behaves. The whole goal is the HHH framework, making sure Claude is always helpful, honest, and harmless. They also tie all this together with a transparent, responsible scaling policy. Basically, it's like giving a kid a solid moral compass to follow instead of just yelling at them after they mess up. So how does this actually work under the hood? It's basically a four-step loop. First, the AI spits out a response to a prompt, which during training might be totally unfiltered or even harmful. Step 2, the AI actually self-critiques that response against the rules in its constitution. Step 3, it revises its own answer to fix any violations. And finally, Step 4, the system uses reinforcement learning on those new, safer outputs. The AI is literally training itself to be safer, no human handholding required. And as you can see right here, the crazy part is that it actually works. These charts are straight from Anthropic's research. Look at those gray lines. That's the reinforcement learning with constitutional AI. On the left, helpfulness goes up. On the right, harmlessness shoots way up. Historically in AI, if you made a model safer, you usually made it way less helpful. But Anthropic proved you could dramatically boost both at the exact same time. It was a total game changer.
Okay, but how detailed is this constitution really? Well, by 2026, Claude's constitution has grown to an absolutely staggering 23,000 words. It pulls heavily from major foundational texts like the UN Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It started out as just 75 basic guidelines back in 2023, and it has evolved into this deeply nuanced, massive philosophical rule book.
Section 3. The Claude ecosystem. Let's look at how all these high-minded principles actually manifest in the products you and I can use.
Since it first hit the scene in early 2023, Claude has settled into a really smart three-tiered model strategy. At the bottom, you've got Haiku. It's the fastest, most affordable option, perfect for high-volume, simple stuff. In the middle is Sonnet, which balances speed and intelligence, basically your workhorse for everyday business tasks. And then at the very top is Opus. That is the most capable and most expensive model designed for super complex reasoning and advanced coding, so users basically get to dial in exactly how much brain power they want to pay for.
But hey, raw intelligence isn't everything. Memory is huge. To really grasp Claude's power, we have to talk about the context window.
Simply put, this is the maximum number of tokens, which are just chunks of words or code that the AI can take in and spit out in a single interaction. It's the absolute limit on how much stuff Claude can hold in its head at one time. And by mid-2026, their flagship models like Opus 4.8 and Sonnet 5 hit a monumental milestone, a context window of 1 million tokens. To put that into perspective for you, 1 million tokens is like taking a 1,500-page book or an entire massive software codebase and just dropping the whole thing into the chat box. Claude can read, analyze, and synthesize all of that context in a single go without losing the plot. It's insane.
Section 4. Artifacts and agents, because this is how you actually put all that immense intelligence to work. You really have to distinguish between these two concepts because they are completely different. Artifacts are standalone, finished creative outputs. Like if you ask Claude to build a dashboard or use Claude Design for collaborative visuals, it doesn't just hand you a wall of raw code. It literally renders a live, interactive version right in a browser pane. Agents, on the other hand, are autonomous. They don't just create things, they take multi-step actions. They read your local files, they execute commands. Basically, artifacts are things Claude makes, and agents are things Claude does.
And Anthropic has released some really powerful agentic tools recently. For instance, there's Claude Code, which is a terminal tool where developers can just talk to the AI and have it execute entire coding tasks. Then there's Claude Cowork, a desktop UI agent that helps non-technical folks organize files and run apps. But given an AI autonomous control of your computer, yeah, that comes with some serious risks. In fact, during the early testing for Cowork, a user asked the AI to organize his wife's desktop, and it famously accidentally deleted all of their family photos. They had an iCloud backup, thank goodness, but man, it perfectly highlights the unpredictable nature of autonomous AI.
These tools got so good, so fast, that even software engineers at rival companies started relying on them. And the industry rivalry here is absolutely fierce. Remember how the founders defected from OpenAI? Well, in August 2025, Anthropic abruptly cut off OpenAI employees' access to Claude, stating that their usage was a direct violation of our terms of service. It is a really stark reminder of the intense, cutthroat competition driving this whole space.
Section 5. The geopolitical showdown. And this brings everything right back to that climax with the military.
In 2026, Anthropic rolled out Project Glasswing. This included their absolute top-tier research models, Mythos and Fable, which were explicitly designed to find and patch cybersecurity vulnerabilities. But the raw, unadulterated power of Mythos triggered an immediate reaction from the government. By June 2026, the U.S. Department of Commerce ordered strict export controls, completely suspending access to Mythos for all foreign nationals. And get this, that restriction was so severe, it actually barred Anthropic's very own foreign national employees from accessing the technology they literally just built.
But those export controls were just one piece of the puzzle. Just look at this timeline to see how fast the Pentagon situation went off the rails. Late 2024, Anthropic is actually partnering with Palantir and AWS to provide Claude for defense agency use. But by early 2026, they hit a wall. Anthropic flat out refuses to lift their constitutional safety blocks that prohibit using Claude for mass domestic surveillance or fully autonomous weapons. So what happens? In February 2026, the DoD designates them a supply chain risk, and the Trump administration drops a federal ban. A month later, a federal judge has to step in and slap a temporary injunction on the Pentagon's ban.
And this quote right here grounds the whole chaotic standoff in current legal reality. Federal Judge Rita F. Lynn, who presided over the injunction, noted that the Pentagon's ban appears to be classic First Amendment retaliation. Anthropic essentially sued the government, arguing that they were being illegally punished just for strictly upholding their own published safety constitution.
So what is the big takeaway from all of this? Well, it's that for Anthropic, safety is clearly not just a PR strategy or some handy marketing buzzword. As an actual public benefit corporation, it is a strict, legally binding philosophy enforced by a 23,000-word constitution. And they absolutely stuck to their guns, even when it meant losing massive military contracts and going toe-to-toe with the federal government.
Which leaves all of us with a really fascinating and kind of scary question to ponder. As AI grows from simple chatbots into these powerful autonomous agents capable of dictating global cybersecurity, where exactly do we draw the line between a private company's ethical constitution and a government's mandate for national defense? It's the ultimate tension, and it's definitely going to define the next era of tech. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning the rules that govern the machines.